Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having a nice time. There's this thing that has been affecting Kenyans for quite a period of time now. The Kenya shilling has been depreciating and going down against the dollar for the last, let's say, about 1 year or so. But it has accelerated in the recent times in 2023. And I've received many queries about the reasons why the dollar is becoming more stronger than the Kenya shilling at such a rate. And here are some 5 reasons I think. I know they are reasons which have made the Kenya shilling to plummet to the levels it is at right now. As of today, the Kenya shilling is exchanging at 140 shillings to the dollar. And it is just something that is just, it has never been heard of. So if you are going to be selling your dollars to the banks, you would have to sell them at the lows of about 125. If you are buying to the dollars, buying the dollars, then you would be buying them at around 140 shillings, and in some cases it's even going higher. So it's an interesting situation, but it's also a situation that is very dire for Kenyans, normal Kenyan wananchi, and they are wondering what's going on to the Kenya shilling. Why is it getting devalued at that particular rate? Basically, what I think, it is not basically what the government has done or not done that has caused the Kenya shilling to go the way it has gone, but circumstances surrounding what is happening around is what has made the Kenya shilling to go that way. Number one, I think, is the fiscal policies that have been made by the FED. FED is like the central bank of USA. They regulate and see how the market is behaving and decide how to do, depending on the inflation there and all those kind of things. They are the ones who do those things in US. And of late, they have raised their interest rates from almost a 0 to almost 4%. Now, this may not make sense to many people, but let me tell you what this means. This means that people investing in government bonds in the USA or investing in bills in the USA, treasury bills in the USA, can now earn up to 3%. Remember, this is a stable market, more stable than Kenya it is. So what has happened is this: because of the rise of that rate, Americans investors have started pulling money from where they had invested elsewhere. Kenya not being an exempt. In fact, I was reading today in the Business Daily that the foreign investors have pulled out an equivalent of 226 billion Kenya shillings, or 4 billion shares, or they have dumped 4 billion shares the last 2 weeks. What does that mean? That means that they have taken this money, they have sold their shares of Safaricom or any other kind of shares that companies they had invested in. They have sold those shares, and where have they taken that money? They have taken that money to the US, to other markets like the Europe, where, as the Fed was raising the rates, it became more attractive for them to invest there than in Kenya, where it looks like it is not very stable, And in fact, today, because it's a Mandamano day today, it is not helping in any way. It's going just to cause the shilling to be a bit weaker. And that is one of the reasons why Kenya shilling has continued to go down. The other reason, which I see very clearly, which started this thing, is the Ukraine war, Russian-Ukraine war. You see, these people thought it is just a joke, but then the impact, the ripple effect of that is that people started pulling their funding, started moving into the US. The European investors started moving into the US to invest there. That meant they were pulling their money from Europe in general and taking it to the US. What does that mean? The dollar started to gain strength. And it has gained strength so much so that the European markets had to come back and also do their own fiscal policy and increase their rates. So as the dollar is gaining strength outside there, what is it doing to the Kenya shilling? It is making the Kenya shillings to be weaker. because the demand for the dollar is very high in the markets outside there. The demand for the dollar, for example, because of the Ukraine war, grew so much so because people stopped buying things using the euro, and they started buying it using the dollar, which looked like a more stable currency then. Now things are stabilizing in that area, but it means that for the developing countries, we have to suffer the consequences of that. The demand for the dollar increased as those foreign investors started moving their money from Europe, from Russia, from Ukraine, from wherever else, into the US, which looked more stable. The other reason is the payment of our loans as the Kenyan government. Now we are about to pay the Eurobond next year. The government has to pull. Eurobond is paid using what? US dollars. In February, we paid the SGR loan, I think almost 34 billion Kenyan shillings, if I'm not wrong. I need to check that. But we already paid. But we paid in what currency? Dollar. What does that mean to the market? That they pulled the dollars and paid it to the Chinese. They paid using dollars. They didn't pay using yen or whichever amount of or Kenya shilling. They paid using the dollars. And that is going to happen again in July. They're going to pay the other chunk because SGR is paid every 6 months. And then the Eurobonds. We have to accumulate that 200 and something million US dollars to help us to pay that Eurobond. Excuse me. Then the other thing, the number 4 item, I think why the reason why the dollar is behaving this way, or the Kenya shilling is behaving this way, was of course the elections, the general elections. There was a lot of uncertainty, so a lot of people pulled money, and people put their money in dollar form, which is more stable. They didn't know what would happen after that. And I say to them, they did a good job, because that meant that they are able to safeguard their investments if they put it in dollars. But that meant a weaker shilling. And we are experiencing the effect now. Well, that is not so much big. It is not so much, it's not such a big deal. It has not affected that much, but it is one of the factors. And the last one, number 5, which I want to speak about, is the drought, the climatic change. This climatic change has forced the government to import food and import things, amenities, to help support the people who are going through difficult moments in this country. So, as they're importing the maize, as they're importing the sugar, as they're importing whatever it is that they're importing, that payment is being made using what? It's being made using dollars. What does that do to the Kenya shilling? Takes it down. So, as Kenyans, we are in for a ride, and it's going to be a difficult moment for the Kenya shilling, but eventually, with the interference of, is it interference or what? Or the coming in of the central bank, they can be able to stabilize the situation that is happening. But I want to say this, that the going down of the Kenya shilling is not such a bad thing. Devaluation is not such a bad thing. We'll talk about devaluation in another video, just to tell you that it is also not such a bad thing. But well, for us, we will feel the impact as you buy things at a higher cost because of what is happening to the Kenya shillings. Thank you so much. Enjoy the content that you get from Gishure Irungu. I'll see you next time on another video. God bless you.